Have you ever lain awake at night? The ceiling fan, a silent witness to the whirlwind of worries in your mind? The what ifs of tomorrow, the uncertainties that stretch out like a shadowy landscape before you? That knot in your stomach, the racing thoughts. We've all been there. That feeling of being adrift in a sea of unknowns can steal our peace, leaving us feeling anxious and overwhelmed. But what if I told you there's a different way to navigate this uncertainty, a path paved with trust and unwavering faith? Welcome, everyone. It's so good to have you here. In today's fast-paced world, where change is the only constant and the future often feels like a tightly sealed book, it's easy to get caught in the undertow of worry and apprehension. We fret about our careers, our finances, our relationships, our health. The list can seem endless. The human mind, naturally inclined to anticipate and prepare, can sometimes become its own tormentor, conjuring up scenarios that leave us feeling powerless and anxious. But amidst this universal struggle, a timeless beacon of hope shines through. The profound and comforting belief that a higher power, often referred to as God, is ultimately in control. This isn't about passively resigning ourselves to fate, but rather about cultivating a deep-seated trust that transcends our limited human perspective. It's about finding solace in the understanding that there's a guiding hand, a divine plan unfolding, even when the path ahead seems shrouded in mist. Over the next duration of the video, we'll delve into this powerful concept. We'll explore how embracing faith can be a potent antidote to the anxiety that the unknown often breeds. We'll look at stories, both ancient and contemporary, that illustrate the transformative power of trusting in a larger purpose. And we'll touch upon how this spiritual perspective can intersect with practical well-being, offering a sense of calm and resilience in the face of life's inevitable uncertainties. So, take a deep breath, settle in, and let's explore together how we can find lasting peace by placing our trust in something bigger than ourselves. The idea of trusting in a divine plan isn't just an abstract theological concept. It's a lived experience that has resonated throughout history and continues to touch lives today. Scripture is replete with examples of individuals who faced daunting uncertainties and found strength and peace through their faith. Think of Abraham, called by God to leave his homeland and journey to an unknown destination. Genesis 12 verses 1-4. He didn't have a detailed map or a guaranteed outcome, yet he stepped out in faith, trusting in God's promise. His story is a powerful testament to the courage that arises when we surrender our need for complete control and embrace the unknown with faith. Consider Joseph, whose life took a series of dramatic and seemingly negative turns: betrayal by his brothers, slavery in Egypt, false accusations, and imprisonment. Genesis 37-41. From a human perspective, his future looked bleak. Yet, through his unwavering faith and his ability to see God's hand even in the midst of hardship, he was eventually elevated to a position of great influence, ultimately saving his family and the surrounding nations from famine. His story reminds us that even when our circumstances seem chaotic and unfair, there might be a larger purpose at play that we cannot yet see. Moving beyond biblical narratives, countless individuals throughout history and in our modern era have echoed this experience. Take the story of Corrie ten Boom, a Dutch Christian who, along with her family, helped many Jews escape the Nazi Holocaust during World War I/II. Their lives were constantly in danger, their future utterly uncertain. Yet, their unwavering faith in God provided them with the strength and resilience to act courageously in the face of unimaginable fear. Her experiences, documented in The Hiding Place, are a powerful illustration of how faith can be an anchor in the stormiest of seas. I recently came across the story of a young entrepreneur named Sarah. She had poured her heart and soul into launching a sustainable fashion business. For months, things were looking promising, but then a major economic downturn hit, and suddenly, orders dried up and her carefully laid plans seemed to crumble. Fear and anxiety began to consume her. She told me, "I had meticulously planned every step. The uncertainty of not knowing if my business would survive was terrifying. I felt like I had lost control of everything I had worked so hard for. Sarah, who had a strong faith background, found herself turning to prayer and scripture more than ever before. She started focusing not on the what-ifs of failure, but on trusting that even if her business didn't succeed in the way she envisioned, there was still a purpose and a path for her. This shift in perspective didn't magically solve her business problems overnight, but it did something profound. It gave her a sense of inner peace and the clarity to explore alternative solutions she hadn't considered before. Ultimately, while her initial business model had to adapt significantly, her underlying venture survived and eventually thrived, something she attributes not just to her hard work, but also to the peace she found in trusting a larger plan. These stories, spanning centuries and diverse circumstances, highlight a common thread. When individuals choose to place their trust in God, even amidst profound uncertainty, they often find a deep wellspring of strength, resilience, and even unexpected opportunities. It's not about denying the reality of difficult situations or pretending that fear doesn't exist, but rather about anchoring our hope in a steadfast belief that transcends our immediate circumstances. Now let's focus on a particularly powerful moment, a testimony that truly encapsulates the transformative power of surrendering to God's will. I want to share the story of Mark, a successful architect who seemingly had it all: a thriving career, a loving family, and financial security. However, beneath the surface, Mark was plagued by a constant need for control. He meticulously planned every aspect of his life, terrified of any deviation from his carefully constructed blueprint. Then, unexpectedly, a major health crisis struck. Suddenly, Mark, the man who prided himself on being in control, found himself utterly vulnerable and facing an uncertain future. The medical prognoses were ambiguous, and the path to recovery was unclear. Fear gripped him like never before. He spent sleepless nights consumed by worry, his meticulously planned life thrown into disarray. Initially, Mark tried to control the situation as he always had. He sought out multiple medical opinions, researched every possible treatment, and tried to micromanage every aspect of his care. But the more he tried to exert control, the more anxious and overwhelmed he became. He felt like he was fighting a battle he couldn't win. It was during this dark period that Mark had a profound spiritual awakening. He realized the futility of trying to control the uncontrollable. He began to pray more earnestly, not for a specific outcome, but for the strength to accept whatever lay ahead and to trust in God's plan for his life. That he started reading scripture and found solace in passages that spoke of God's unwavering love and sovereignty. One evening, while reflecting on a particularly comforting verse, Mark experienced a profound shift. It wasn't a sudden miraculous healing, but something deeper, a complete surrender. He described it as a weight being lifted off his shoulders. The fear didn't vanish entirely, but it lost its paralyzing grip. He realized that even if the outcome wasn't what he desired, he could find peace in trusting that God would be with him through it all. From that point forward, Mark approached his health journey with a newfound sense of calm and acceptance. He still actively participated in his treatment, but his motivation shifted from fear-driven control to a quiet trust in the process. He focused on the present moment, finding joy in small victories and strength in his faith. The outcome of Mark's health crisis was ultimately positive, something he attributes in part to the inner peace he found through surrendering his worries to God. But even more significantly, this experience fundamentally changed his perspective on life. He learned that true strength isn't found in controlling every detail, but in having the courage to let go and trust in something larger than ourselves. His testimony is a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest victory we can achieve is the surrender of our anxieties to a higher power. That Mark's story, like so many others, underscores the profound implications of choosing trust over anxiety. When we actively cultivate a belief that God is in control, it doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent to our circumstances. Instead, it empowers us to navigate life's challenges with a different posture, one of resilience, hope, and inner peace. From a faith perspective, this trust stems from the understanding of God's nature as loving, wise, and sovereign. Believing that God has a plan, even if we can't see it, provides a framework for understanding the inevitable ups and downs of life. It allows us to see setbacks not as random acts of misfortune, but potentially as part of a larger tapestry that we may not fully comprehend. This perspective can be incredibly liberating, freeing us from the burden of feeling solely responsible for every outcome. Interestingly, the benefits of this kind of trust aren't just confined to the realm of faith. There are psychological insights that echo this wisdom. Studies have shown that individuals with a strong sense of purpose and meaning in life tend to experience lower levels of anxiety and greater overall well-being. Believing in a higher power and a divine plan can provide that very sense of purpose, framing our individual lives within a larger, more meaningful context. Furthermore, the act of surrendering our worries can be seen as a form of cognitive restructuring. Instead of dwelling on negative, what-if scenarios and feeling overwhelmed by uncertainty, we consciously choose to focus on a belief in a positive and benevolent force at work. This shift in focus can interrupt the cycle of anxious thoughts and create space for more positive emotions and a greater sense of calm. It's important to acknowledge that trusting in God doesn't magically erase difficulties or guarantee a life free from challenges. What it does offer is a different way of relating to those challenges. Instead of facing them with fear and a sense of isolation, we approach them with the assurance that we are not alone and that there is a greater purpose at play. This can foster a sense of inner strength and resilience that allows us to persevere through tough times with greater hope and fortitude. Moreover, the act of faith often involves practices like prayer, meditation, and engaging with a faith community. These practices can provide comfort, support, and a sense of belonging, all of which are crucial for managing anxiety and promoting emotional well-being. Sharing our burdens and finding encouragement within a community of faith can be incredibly powerful in navigating the uncertainties of life. This isn't about ignoring the realities of life or pretending that difficulties don't exist. It's about cultivating a deep-seated belief that there's a larger purpose at play, a guiding hand that is ultimately working for our good, even when we can't see the full picture. This perspective can shift our focus from fear and worry to hope and trust, empowering us to navigate life's challenges with greater courage and inner calm. Furthermore, we've touched upon how this spiritual perspective aligns with certain psychological principles, such as the importance of purpose and meaning in life and the power of cognitive restructuring. Believing in a divine plan can provide that essential sense of purpose, and the act of surrendering our worries can help to interrupt negative thought patterns. Ultimately, finding peace in the unknown is a journey of faith, a continuous practice of choosing trust over fear. It's about recognizing our limitations and acknowledging that there are forces at work beyond our control. By cultivating a relationship with God and anchoring our hope in His promises, we can find a profound sense of peace that transcends the uncertainties of the future, allows us to live more fully in the present moment. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment in your life where surrendering your worries and trusting in something bigger than yourself brought you a sense of peace? Share your stories in the comments below. Your experiences can be a source of encouragement and hope for others who may be struggling with similar anxieties. If this message resonated with you and you'd like to explore more content on finding peace, cultivating faith, and navigating life's challenges with hope, please consider subscribing to our channel. We regularly share uplifting stories, practical insights, and reflections on how faith can enrich our lives. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and share it with anyone who might need a reminder that even in the face of uncertainty, there's a source of unwavering peace to be found. Thank you so much for joining me today. May you find comfort and strength in trusting the path ahead, knowing that you are not alone. Until next time, take care and God bless.